New on 6 News at 6. A terrifying scene at the San Francisco airport after a plane carrying hundreds crashes on the runway. Plus, heavy rain in the Smokies keeping firefighters busy all weekend. Nearly a dozen people had to be rescued today.
Another soggy Saturday across East Tennessee. Will we see more wet weather for your Sunday? Forecast details are coming up on WATE 6 Saturday News at 6.
Now, live from East Tennessee's first television station, this is 6 News at 6.
Tonight's top stories: a plane crashes on the runway at San Francisco International Airport. The latest on the condition of nearly 300 passengers. And heavy rain in the Smokies keeping firefighters busy this weekend with nearly a dozen water rescues today alone. Hear the warning they have for visitors ahead. Plus,
we cannot continue to endure the level of violence that we're experiencing.
And East Knoxville Church says enough is enough. Why they say the community needs to take a stand before another young person loses their life. Good evening, everyone. We begin tonight with a developing story. A 777 Boeing has crashed on the runway at the San Francisco International Airport. ABC News has confirmed at least 18 people are injured. According to the airline, there were 291 passengers and 16 crew members on board at the time of the crash. ABC's Chuck Sievertson has the latest.
The Asiana Airlines 777 crashed while trying to land at the San Francisco airport. Smoke from the crippled plane could be seen for miles as fire crews poured water on the wreck. Asiana Flight 214, a Boeing 777-200ER, was coming from Seoul, South Korea, with 290 passengers, 1 infant, and 12 crew members reportedly aboard.
I noticed the nose was very high, higher than usual. I thought, well, that's odd, but I thought with the pilot, oh, okay, he knows what he's doing. All of a sudden, when it hit the touch, all of a sudden the tail hit, all of a sudden flames came out, then started turning around like a cartwheel, and then it looked like I couldn't tell if it slid or not, and all of a sudden it was in flames.
As the smoke cleared, the extent of the devastation was plain. Much of the fuselage was burnt through, and the aircraft's tail was missing.
The tail was very low, and when it hit, sparks flew. This wing hit and spun it around, and then there was a big explosion.
The tail assembly had now been broken loose and was almost 90 degrees off from the fuselage. And it very quickly skidded the fuselage down the runway.
Debris from the crash littered the ground. The plane was completely off the runway.
This crew was in an extreme situation, trying to make the runway in one way or another.
Chuck Sievertson, ABC News, New York.
A news conference is scheduled to begin at any moment now. We will, of course, keep you updated on this story as more details come into the 6 newsroom. Well, turning now to the weather, rain, and more rain. I feel like we've had our fill. 6 Storm Team meteorologist Ken Weathers joins us now with a look at when it might finally let up.
Jill, we still got another day at least of some of this steadier rainfall across the area, and this line is just now starting to slide into the Knoxville area. Look out to the west. You can see overcast skies, some rainfall across the region, cars with headlights on, and definitely some wet roads across the region. Storm Tracker 6 showing the scattered rain showers. The brighter yellows and oranges are the steadier rainfalls. The darker greens is, we'll call it light to moderate rainfall back towards the west. And notice the movement of this. It's all been right out of Georgia and Alabama, moving almost due north across the area. And this trend is going to continue. But what we have seen is the line slowly drifting eastward. And that will continue to be the case overnight tonight into tomorrow. So still some steady rain to come, and even some heavier rain expected tomorrow in the mountains, Jill. More on our forecast in just a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Ken. Well, all this rain we're getting is proving dangerous for tubers around the Smokies. Emergency crews had to pull 11 people from the Little River this afternoon due to swift water. Firefighters tell us all the individuals were riding on tubes down the river. Took rescuers about an hour and a half to get everyone to safety. With more rain to come this weekend, they want to remind families about how dangerous swift water can be.
When you're in the mountains, it doesn't matter if it's raining where you are or not. It matters what's happening up above you. You know, and especially when you got 3 prongs dumping into one major stream. This is where Little River starts there at the Y, and it can change fast. You got to be aware of your surroundings and starts going up, get out. Don't wait for it to get bad.
Firefighters tell us that the victims had no major injuries, just bumps and bruises. Including today's rescues, crews say they've pulled 17 people from the river this week alone. A Seymour woman has now been charged with the murder of her husband. Deputies say 64-year-old Donald Gregory was shot and killed at his home on Estates Drive back in January. Investigators believe the victim was arguing with his wife, Belinda Gregory, before he was shot. Belinda Gregory told deputies she shot her husband in self-defense, but further investigation led to her arrest. She now faces first-degree murder charges and is being held in the Sevier County Jail. It's a problem that the East Knoxville community says it can no longer ignore: street violence among teens. Local residents say far too many young people are dying at the hands of their peers in drive-bys and gang-related shootings. 6 News reporter Haley Harmon has more on how a local church is spearheading an effort to stop the violence before another young person loses their life.
Safe and secure. That's what the hundreds packing Overcoming Believers Church in East Knoxville want their community to be. So they met today for the Stop the Violence Forum to discuss ways they can help combat the ever-growing street violence problem that leaves so many local teenagers dead.
We cannot continue to endure the level of violence that we're experiencing.
The pastor here, who says he's conducted so many funerals for local youth in recent years, he's lost count.
There's a box in front of me and I'm consoling a family.
Says something has to change to save the lives of East Knoxville teens, keeping them out of gangs and on the right path.
It's extremely devastating, but you know, the sad part about it is it happens so much that it's not as painful to many as it used to be because it happens so often.
Attendees heard suggestions from a panel of local men like Quabina Miller, who've seen their fair share of street violence growing up here.
I was involved in gangs since the age of a teenager.
And say it's a life no one has to live.
What does it take? You know, what does it take for people to wake up and see that the streets don't work, that what you're doing is not going to work?
They want to prevent others from taking that same potentially deadly path.
My prayer is that people don't die before they see the light.
Others today suggested becoming better mentors to the young people in this community.
We have to stand up as surrogate parents for those that don't have parents.
And providing positive activities to keep them out of trouble and off the streets.
Come up with some things where young people can do something that is constructive, because idle time is evil time.
In Knoxville, Haley Harmon, 6 News.
The church hopes to host another forum in the coming weeks. Well, the 4th of July safety campaign continues tonight. The Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security, along with THP, have no refusal checkpoints throughout the state. We caught up with troopers early this morning at a checkpoint on Highway 66 in Sevier County. No refusal allows officers to obtain warrants for blood samples if a person is suspected of impaired driving. They're not only looking for drivers under the influence of alcohol, but also those who might be impaired by drugs. Authorities hope these checkpoints help people to make better decisions while driving.
Just the amount of crashes that we investigate every year that result in fatalities just from impaired drivers. It's just the statistics are, you know, there shouldn't be a statistic. We should be able to fight this and not have this going on, but people make bad decisions.
Officials say 21 people were killed in crashes on state roads over the July 4th holiday last year. Nearly half of those were alcohol related and 7 were not wearing seatbelts. No refusal weekend continues until 11:59 tomorrow night. Crews battled a house fire in Knoxville this morning. It broke out just before 7:30 at a home along the 4200 block of Canby Lane. Investigators believe it started on the deck before spreading to the kitchen and roof. Crews got it under control pretty quickly, though. Firefighters say they have been very busy this weekend because of the holiday.
When you're around the holiday season, you have a greater frequency of fires, whether it be from fireworks or whether it be from people that have had cookouts or whatever, and we're not sure exactly what started this, but we have had an extremely busy week.
Firefighters say no one was injured in that fire. Widespread destruction and 1 person confirmed dead following a train derailment today in Canada. The crash occurred near the U.S. border in Quebec. The train was hauling 70 tankers full of crude oil, which exploded, sending a huge fireball into the air. The inferno spread to a nearby neighborhood homes, forcing authorities to evacuate the town. The oil also spilled into a nearby river. Fire crews from the U.S. hopped the border to help battle that blaze. Still to come here, more details in the case of a man found with stolen weapons and explosives outside a university. Plus, just days after an excessive heat warning expires in Arizona, emergency crews are now dealing with flooding there. Stay with us. You're watching WATE 6 Saturday News at 6. Covering America for you now, we are learning new details tonight about a man found with stolen weapons and explosives near the University of Washington campus. 22-year-old Justin Jasper was arrested late Wednesday night near the campus. The prosecutor in the case now saying authorities found detailed maps of the University of Washington and 2 other campuses. Jasper's bond is currently set at $2 million. Police stopped Jasper's truck after it appeared on a list of stolen vehicles. Well, just days after an excessive heat warning expires in Arizona, emergency crews are now dealing with flooding. Tucson firefighters saved this family of 4 yesterday after their car stalled in the water. Authorities say rushing water effectively trapped the family inside. Rescuers were able to get them out safely, though, and crews responded to several other cars stranded on roads in that same area. Police in Georgia are looking for 4 people believed to be going to extreme measures to rob a popular restaurant chain. Authorities in Gwinnett County say several area Waffle Houses have been robbed. Police say it begins with the man you saw there walking into the restaurant's bathroom, where he cuts a hole in the ceiling, climbs up, lands in the manager's office, and cleans out the safe. Meanwhile, 3 other suspects sit nearby and distract employees. The Waffle House says they have lost around $7,000 in those robberies. Still to come, all this rain is for several fireworks shows to be rescheduled. We'll tell you which ones are still on for tonight. Plus, what you may want to think twice before jumping into the lake. 6 on your side's Don Dare investigates sewage leaking into local waters when we come back. Welcome back, everyone. TVA's system of lakes and dams makes East Tennessee a recreational mecca of the South. Not only do people enjoy fun on the water, but they also live along the lakes. With lakeside living can come major pollution. 6 on your side's Don Dare was called to an area of Douglas Lake where waste was coming directly from a lakeside home.
Well, we moved in here in March, but we didn't notice anything till about a month and a half ago.
Brooke Powell has quite a view of Douglas Lake from her front porch, where she rents this lakeside home. While it looks exotic here, she says looks can be deceiving because it's not exactly a healthy place.
Our sewage is running into the lake.
Where?
Right down there where you can see all the wood.
Mrs. Powell and her husband have stacked up a bunch of wood over a broken PVC pipe.
Where is this water going?
Douglas Lake.
Into the lake?
Into the lake.
Raw sewage?
Raw sewage.
When did you first notice this problem?
My son noticed it and brought it to our attention, actually.
Kyle is her son. He's standing in the bathroom about 15 feet from the piled up wood. We had him tear up some tissue paper as I put on some gloves so we could see the problem. After the flush, it takes but a few moments for the water to start flowing and to pour directly onto the ground within 15 feet of their home.
We can't even open the windows to our house because that's all we can smell.
Especially when it gets hot.
Yes.
Gets worse.
Yes.
Right now I'm about 6 feet from where the pipe comes out of the ground, and this is about another 10 feet to the lake.
We've tried to dig it out ourselves to make the hole to where it wouldn't go into the lake. Nothing was working.
And you went and called the landlord?
Yep.
And Mr. Sams said what?
Don't worry about it. I said, how can I not worry about it? We have to live next to it.
We tried to find the landlord and ask him about the sewage problem. He wasn't home the day we visited. However, the Jefferson County Health Department has been made aware of the issue. The health director visited and found the septic tank broken.
The pipe had been removed from the tank, and so we had raw sewage running out on top of the ground.
Tom Carter says effluents present in sewage water contain innumerable pathogens. And even though the polluted water does not pour directly into Douglas Lake here, there is still concern.
With rain like we're having right now, it's going to wash off into the lake and cause contaminants to go into the water.
The landlord has been given 30 days to come up with a plan of action to resolve the sewage pollution.
He was aware of the problem. He has already contacted an installer to come out and correct it. He has presently had the tank pumped and had the area around it cleaned up.
Jefferson County inspectors will return in a few weeks to check on the final results of the cleanup and repairs. Don Dare, 6 on your side.
Another day here in East Tennessee with some heavy rainfall across the region. This is the TDOT SmartWay cameras, I-40 at Western Avenue. The traffic on that side is heading westbound. It looks like an incident right there in the median. Again, this is I-40. That's the Western Avenue Bridge right there at the top of your screen underneath that banner where that is running over Interstate 40 as you're heading into town or away from town. So be very careful out there this evening as we still have some steadier rainfall across the region. Notice the 12-hour rainfall estimates. So just from about 5, 6 o'clock this morning to the current time frame, some 1.5 inches or close to it readings back across portions of the plateau, between 1/3 to 1/2 inch in some spots down through the valley. But again, where we had some of the heavier showers move through, looks like some 1.2, about 1.25 inches amounts. Further north and east you go, though, not much rainfall at all. And that's been the case across the region today with these steady showers, again, moving south to north across the area. And this whole band is drifting slowly eastward. And that's going to continue to be the case overnight tonight. But definitely some moderate to heavy rainfall. Follow the legend there at the bottom of your screen, the brighter yellows and oranges. That's the heavier rainfall. And we're seeing that now through Blount, Knox, Loudoun, all the way up through Anderson and southern sections of Campbell County. And that's moving right up the I-75 corridor. So we've not seen much over towards Cott County into Jefferson County yet, but that will change as we go through the night, because look at the steady plume of moisture continuing to make its way through Georgia. So as this whole band slides east, all this will head up straight through the pipeline, okay? So still a lot of wet weather to go as we go through the night tonight. So be very careful if you're going to be out and about. Travel carefully. Don't drive through a flooded roadways, even if it's a street you're used to, because you don't know what could have happened underneath the road. It could have washed out. It doesn't take much more than a little more than a foot and a half of water to move your car. So be very careful, please, okay? Some changes, though, early next week. This pattern may be briefly changing, which will be nice to see for sure. 68 degrees right now with some rain still likely by midnight into early tomorrow morning. Coverage slowly decreases as we go through the afternoon, but highs are going to struggle to get back to near 80 degrees. 68 rain cool. That's the official low so far for the day. We did make it up in the low 80s. I think 81 was the official high for today, but you can tell where we haven't seen rain. Tri-Cities is 83 right now. It's 68 up in Middlesboro, so definitely some wet weather. And as I showed you throughout the day, we've seen this steady plume of moisture slowly drifting eastward. That's going to be the case throughout the night tonight, where West Tennessee finally starting to dry out with some breaks as well. So here we go, 2 o'clock in the morning, still some steady rain across the region. Heaviest band will look like it'll shift eastward overnight into tomorrow. So still an opportunity for some heavy rain, which could lead to some flooding across much of the area through at least early afternoon to mid-afternoon tomorrow. By tomorrow evening, we're finally starting to see a few breaks across the area. Some welcome breaks, that's for sure. But I still think as we head into Monday, Tuesday, it's more of a typical July pattern here in East Tennessee, where we see the random pop-up storms. Otherwise, it's quite steamy if you see the sunshine. Cold front coming in middle of the week, though, increases rain opportunities once again. And wow, could it be true? Next Friday, Saturday, it's actually dry. We'll keep our fingers crossed, Jill.
That would be great. Thanks, Ken. Well, because of all this rain, several local fireworks shows were rescheduled for this weekend. Athens and Clinton are scheduled to have their shows tonight. Lenore City's Rock in the Dock show was supposed to be tonight, but that has now been rescheduled for Monday. Oak Ridge's display is planned for tomorrow. For more information, just go to WATE.com. Well, it may not seem like a good day to be out on the lake, but the fish don't mind quite a haul at this morning's Firecracker Bass Tournament weigh-in, including a couple of monster catfish. That's next in sports.